A second. Here in a minute will be all batteries, so that's okay.
I welcome our copper top overlords.
Copper top over. Oh, that's too funny.
Hey guys, good morning, everyone. It's a couple minutes after the hour, so I think we'll go ahead and get rolling because we do actually have a little bit of ground to cover today. Um, for those of us, if anybody here is new, this is something we do and try to keep it more in the technical realm. As much fun as the Thursday sassy calls are we want to kind of keep this more in configuration management. What are you seeing? What are you doing? And for our boots on the ground type folks. We always try to lead off with, does anybody have any technical questions? Anything deep dive, any questions about configuration or management of the tool that you've tripped across in the last 2 weeks since the last time we spoke?
Andy's got his hand up.
Good morning, Andy.
Good morning, Anthony. Leron on Thursday last week showed how to whitelist locations, and I could not find how where that is set as a new feature, I guess, in Respond.
I unfortunately missed that meeting and have been slacking at not watching the video. Ben, do you know what he's talking about?
Let's see. You said in
Whitelisting that
respond.
location
It
in
was a
risk.
new feature that was just added in that was about adding IP addresses to be safe or whitelisting. I thought it was in Respond because that to me makes sense there, but I wasn't sure where else that IP address list would be. This was a
Uh,
Well,
new
we've
feature.
always been able to, right here where we would like whitelist by country, we do have the option to
It wasn't
whitelist by an
this.
IP or IP range,
hmm.
but that has always tended to kind of put the blinders on and make the platform more noisy. Under
This was a new
respond,
this was a new feature with IP addresses, and so I'm confused by it. And I think it might have been related to VPNs and known public VPNs, IPs, or something to that effect.
I think that's something we're working on as far as a new whitelisting module. I don't think it's out quite yet because
Okay.
neither Anthony nor I are having a tremendous party, and
What
as
is
we
under, go back to the March. Oh, no, that's too old. Never mind. Thank you. So what he was showing was not yet ready for prime time is why I couldn't find it.
oh, okay.
I think that's fair. Yes, I will. And Andy, I'll have to watch that video and get back to the audience here. Maybe we'll throw it up on our Discord server. Um, because yeah, I just don't know. There's a lot we can filter on as Ben is demonstrating already. And a lot of partners have done exactly that. It's like build a respond rule that if it came in on a VPN, if that action happened across a VPN, then you'd have a very different decision point. And where we pull that data is from a couple of, yes, we have a Discord server and someone Ben shouts it from the rooftops, David. I'm not sure how you missed that. Um, look for a look for an invite oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you're being facetious. I'm being very straight man. I'm very playing the straight man here. Yes, we have a
By the
Discord
way, it's
server, and
worth it to be a part of the Discord community.
I think we have some good conversations there, even if we're not
Uh,
as
you're
uh,
funny, David.
quickly how we
Is
yeah,
David
we don't
Carter the
always
guy that
respond quickly.
traveled to Mars in time, right? Back and forth. So um, you can think of him that way.
I'm completely slacking on my invites. Usually I'm the first one. So there you
Usually
go.
are, usually are. Yeah,
There you go,
there
David.
we are. Thank you. Um, One of the things we were talking about, this does really begin to ring a small bell, Andy, is one of the things we look for is did this event happen? Did an alert happen across a VPN? And how do we know it was a VPN? Well, we pull from a couple of different databases. One of them is also ipdata.co. But again, we're getting, oh, there we are, ipdata.co. We subscribe to that and some other public databases to sort of get an idea of what the landscape looks like in the world of IPs. Now, that is not exclusive by any stretch. And we see about 4 billion alerts on our own. So our own algorithms, our own software are pretty good at figuring this stuff out. And we backstop that with what IP data tells us, what Microsoft tells us, and so on. And so I'm not going to say it's gospel, but if it says it's a VPN, the chances are very good that it is, in fact, a VPN. And you guys can make an informed decision based on that. And hey, look, OSINT, there's some very public data here that anybody can get at, even Ben. That is absolutely a joke because Ben knows more about this stuff than I do by a long shot.
Ben, would this information about where one could look this up be listed in your Discord community? And might that be a great place for it to say, here's how to better enhance SaaS alerts? He's muted now.
That's okay. We like to watch Ben's lips move.
It's the puppet master at work.
Microphone messes up sometimes. I'm switching up too many windows. It doesn't like me. No, I was saying I think we put it in resources, but we
In
can't really
resources.
pin. You can't really pin something under Discord. So yeah, there's a channel called resources where we post
Okay.
different links and everything. This one specifically, I always like give people access to this IP data, and I tell them to click on documentation because it explains those data fields that you see in our system, what they mean, and they do a really good job with their documentation as far as how they're getting there. Because we've had questions about the threat score, what that means, where we get it from, and this is a great resource for that.
Absolutely. So,
Methodologies would
Andy,
be a
I'll
great
take a
name.
look at that video, but I hope that gives
Thanks.
you a little bit of direction. Yeah.
Yep. No, methodologies are, Ben, what you're really beginning to illuminate here. And that would be also a great resource item is the methods that you've become aware of and
Mhm.
implement.
Oh yeah. I always try to give this link out, especially to people creating rules on their own, because it's nice to be able to know if an IP address is going to flag on one of these things before it does.
His
So,
data center would be one that I would think would be standing out,
mhm.
unless of course they're doing virtual desktops. Then you have
Well,
to,
and this one is good right here. This is
yeah.
threat because that threat either means abuser or attacker is true. So it saves you from having to add both of those. You can just add that single one.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Did anybody else have any burning technical questions jumping out at you?
I have one, Anthony. This is Nadeem, by the way. So I created a ticket for it as well. And let's say we have a tenant that we have not customized using SaaS alerts, and we want to use SaaS alerts to revert that tenant to Microsoft defaults. And the example is, let's say we are offboarding a client and we want to revert them back to the defaults. Can we do that?
It's an interesting thought. I think, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, our templating system only turns things on in the controls, or can we turn things off?
Oh, as soon as my system catches up, we can look under completed. Many of these things we can roll back, even if they're pre-existing. It depends on if the API lets us do it or not. But that will probably be as close to defaults as you can get, and that will be
I
with.
think I think where Nadeem was going, Ben, was
Mhm.
all the work and all the labor and basically the IP that he has put into a client. If
Oh
they
yeah.
decide to wander off and go in a different direction, he'd
Hmm.
like to give them a clean baseline of where they would have started if they'd started off with Microsoft without all of his work and labor and input. If I understood that correctly, Nadeem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
what you'll do
could we
is,
build a template that would take that back?
well, what you'll do is you'll remove them here, and then when you click remove, you'll be able to disconnect, fortify,
Oh,
and undo all the recommended actions that you have done.
that is new. I did not see that. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah. Yeah, we
But Ben, wouldn't that only undo actions that SaaS alerts has done? Or will it revert back to the original Microsoft settings?
I think that'll only do what we have done, as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's a way to create a template that will revert it to defaults.
Hmm.
Because I know that'll help us out a lot. And there might be others it might help out because we don't want our IP getting out to, somebody else.
Sure, certainly. That's a very good
Yeah, we'll have to
question.
take a look at that. Yeah, kind of template be used to turn off a policy? And that would make sense, Ben, thinking through that. It's like Nadeem had a policy that said, I'm going to use Duo or Okta or something. I would always want to mark those other things as complete, even if they weren't actually in place. We'll have to do some digging on that, Nadeem. That's a great thought.
Yeah.
And Nadeem, if you open up a ticket on that, I'll add Ben and I to that support ticket so we can have some visibility of whatever their answers are and perhaps provide some input and perspective there as well. Excellent. Good questions. Good questions this morning. Anybody else got anything bouncing around their brain pan before I turn Ben loose on one of his favorite subjects?
Mhm.
Anyone who has seen Ben do his thing, he will pull things from the ether left, right, and center that a lot of us have never heard of. Ben, tell us, where do you find all the answers and where do you find all these questions?
The questions are good. So one of the things that I use pretty frequently that you guys may already know of is a website called Shodan. And when that ConnectWise vulnerability was discovered, this was a pretty popular resource to find Screen Connect servers that are being hosted out on the web, and preferably ones that aren't patched. This one that was for like more of a attacker's perspective. I don't know if you guys heard the news of China using this exploit to get access to machines that were being accessed or hosted with remote control with Screen Connect. Now, one of the things you can do with this site is you can punch in any IP address, and it's a free service to use for so many searches. And if you're lucky, occasionally they do a kind of, I'm not going to say Black Friday deal, but they do a sale where it's $5 for a lifetime subscription. Definitely encourage you to keep an eye out for that. They usually post it on their uh, Twitter or Facebook or Reddit or something like that. But uh, even with the free account, you can do searches. You essentially can punch in an IP address and find out all the information that's out there from it. And all this is open source. It's open source intelligence. It's free for everybody. And one of the ways that all these different people on LinkedIn were posting, where all the Screen Connect servers were by doing a simple search up here for a title of a website. And this scours the entire internet and found different Screen Connect servers and presents you with where the most of them are located and specific IP addresses as well. One of the ones that I found to be very interesting was if you are coming down here, a lot of them have certificates also associated with them. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see this.
It's great,
This
Ben.
one, this one specifically, I can see where the certificate was registered. So this was Screen Connect, I guess, for this company, CompuLink Advantage. Now, I don't know if they are vulnerable to this exploit, but I can navigate to their website and see, what is this site of what kind of company is this? And I can see it, so it's CompuLink. And if I scroll down, I can also find out a little bit of information that this appears to be, looks like healthcare, EMR. And this would be a really valuable target for me. So with Shodan, I can pull up all the information about this specific IP address. I can see where they're located physically. So I know where, if I'm a threat actor, I know where to set my VPN so that I'm not going to be, setting off any red flags. And I also know exactly what ports they have open. So if I punch in this IP address into my browser, I bring up their Screen Connect server. And that was only a couple of steps and very easy to perform that search and find, okay, and I'll have a Screen Connect server. I know what kind of I know their healthcare, so they have some really good information in there. And I also see that they don't have really a valid certificate. So I might be going on the assumption that it's quite possible that they're probably not keeping up with their security. Now, what are the chances of them being vulnerable to that exploit that's out there? Probably pretty good, right? I'm not going to do that exploit and actually access their computer, but I wanted to show you guys how easy it is to use a site like Shodan to find this information. Another really valuable tool is you can look for ports that are open on any number of IP addresses. If I do a search for port 3389, which is remote desktop connection, I can see that there's 4.2 million IP addresses without that port sticking out. You want to see something really funny? If I click on images here, or actually I'm gonna go, oh yeah, actually that was it. I'm gonna browse images right there. I'm also seeing screenshots of all these RDP sessions that are out. And these are ones that I can find out a little bit of information. So I got user here. That's not too great, but well, here you go. I got someone's name. I got their name right there. And I'm also pulling up other information about their IP address. I can see they have Hikvision IP cameras that they're broadcasting. So it's probably reasonable to assume that, first thing I'm going to do as a bad guy is I'm going to first check to see if maybe there's some vulnerabilities I can get access to their cameras. I'm definitely going to be hitting this with as many password and login attempts as I possibly can. And if it has an SSL certificate, I'm also able to find out a little bit about the domain here. It's maag.local. I bet with a little bit of Googling, you might be able to find out where MAAG is. I already know where they're located physically. I could probably discover that company name. See, they're running a Sonic Wall firewall. So this right here is a great website for doing that sort of OSINT.
Now, Ben, the process you just kind of went through, did you
Mhm.
utilize any of that when you were an engineer for an MSP? For those of you who don't know, Ben used to be a lead engineer for a large MSP. I mean, when you're doing your prospecting, did you look into some of this sort of stuff for your clients?
Oh, definitely.
Very good.
One great thing about this is that you can also do a search for a city. So if I chose Lynchburg, and I think this is the right syntax, so this we'll find out in a second here. So here is Lynchburg, and this is definitely my area, as I see Verizon and Comcast. So I can look for Lynchburg. I can also look for, port 3389. I have 19 IP addresses that are broadcasting that, the 3389. And these are people probably local to me. Now, do they know that this is really, really horrible and they should never, ever be doing this? Probably not. This one running a Windows 7 machine. Looks like Rick. Yeah, so I wonder if there's any vulnerabilities for a Windows 7 machine out on the internet.
Never heard of such. Good Lord.
Yeah. So this one's showing me I don't think that's the password, but let's assume it's not. And this one is showing me the name of the computer. I'm not picking up too much of a domain name on here, but I'm also seeing a lot of ports that are being broadcasted. So if I scroll up here, yeah, Microsoft endpoint. This is in West Lynchburg, Lumos. This is definitely in my town.
And it appears to be an ISP or a IT shop,
Yep,
Loomis
this is
Networks.
this is their internet provider, which is a very popular internet provider. It's actually the same one I have. Wait, this is my IP. No, no, so
And yet they have a honeypot online.
Windows 7 honeypot is exactly what I was thinking. I did, yeah.
yeah, if only. But the SSL cert will tell me a lot. A lot of times when they do register this, if I'm able to pull this information, it will usually include domain names, sometimes even, full host names. This one's just showing Rick
It's a
PC, but
standalone PC. A RIC
mhm,
PC is, yeah.
yep. Oh yeah, and this is the OrCAD 16.
I wonder if there's an application called OrCAD. Who would have thought?
But yeah, I definitely use this for prospecting. I said, what's out there and, being run by companies that just don't know any better.
You said that there's a way to get on the list of when they promote those special pricings.
Yep, I think either Twitter or a Reddit, but they're usually it usually happens at least once a year. Usually it's around Black Friday.
Bummer.
Mhm.
Ben, any idea what the street price is on this? If I'm not going to wait for a sale and I want this information now,
Yeah,
Adam,
you could do
there we are. Perfect.
there's this right here, but there's also the one that's just a membership for one-time fee, and you're allowed a certain number of searches, which I think is kind of plenty. And it's $49 for a lifetime membership.
So every 100 credits you have to spend another $49?
No, it's
Oh, it's
just
per month.
it's per month, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's all one needs.
Oh, exactly. Like totally. Like I don't ever go over that.
This
Hmm
is actually very worthwhile.
hmm And they
You
they
should
do
do
have,
commissions. You should
yeah,
have
they do.
a discount code for yourself so they track your sales.
Well,
Ben's referral service.
they do have
Uh-huh.
monitored as well. So you can set up an IP address to be monitored constantly. So if, especially if you're out, under 16 clients, you can monitor their IP addresses for any sort of changes. But, we use this pretty extensively, even just on ourselves to find out, hey,
Yeah.
what's accessible out on the internet? What does our IP address say about us? And also, I use this also to do a search for anybody hosting, like say a VSA, and are a lot of people are still doing their own hosting of their PSA, and it's quite possible many of them aren't patched, but the RDPs are the easy targets. It's also very interesting is a lot of people post their webcams out on the web too. You do a search for webcam up here for title, you would be surprised on what you see. Very disturbing. But it's just a lack of knowledge, really. Oh, here we go. This is
Windows
much more
XP
interesting. This is Windows 2003.
and China.
Mm-hmm.
There's another honeypot. China Net Backbone. Yeah, right. No, that's the name of the provider.
Also, it looks
Oh,
like
it's Domino.
Lotus
Whoa.
Domino SMTP
That explains why it's still running.
with the POP3. Oh yeah, this
Come
one.
here, little baby. We'll teach you to mess with us. Don't want to mess with them.
But yeah, I definitely encourage you to, punch in, check this out, and it'll even show you vulnerabilities right here. So you can see this one. I know that this was a score of 10, a CVE, which is remote code execution vulnerability, and that is applicable to this particular guy right here. So if I was a bad guy, I could immediately hop in there, use this vulnerability, and be assured that I can do whatever I want to do with this server.
Yep, this is pretty powerful tool. And how
And
long?
Ben,
Where's the tutorial for
remind
this?
us,
Oh yeah,
Ben, remind us you're a good guy, right? You're on our side.
most of the time.
His night job, however, is honeypot fishing. Is there a tutorial on how to use these different keywords?
Yes, if you click on the main page under dashboard, you'll see the different syntax as well as
Okay.
all the filters that you could use to get the best results. Yeah, you can use SMTP, Telnet, which is all unencrypted.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, this is a fun site, but very informative.
So
There's
how would
also
you use this in conjunction with SaaS alerts on a vulnerability? That would be a great use presentation.
And I think that's really kind of what I will circle around to is that, as we add more SaaS applications, even if you are self-hosting them, make sure that you are using us to monitor these because the bad guys have access to these tools. And if they are signing in and using something like this, then that's something we want to know about. I know that Screen Connect is on our list of things to integrate with as well. And so
Wow.
if that does happen, if someone signs into your platform, then you'll know about that. But yeah, just cover your SaaS everywhere you can. And one other one that I will throw out there for you is this one here, this FOFA. It's another great one that has uh,
This I didn't see in your resource section on Discord.
yeah, this is a new one. This one I just found out about I think it was yesterday or this morning. Very similar information, but their prices I think are a little different, but I'm not even signed in at all, and I'm getting this information pretty easily. The only thing that you're not going to get access to is they'll identify products when it comes to like their paid version,
Mm-hmm.
and so you'll be able to determine what they're running. But this will give you a lot of information, a lot of the similar information about the an IP address, its response, headers, stuff like that. And
This
that's
doesn't seem
80/20.
to be as feature rich as Showdown.
Mm-hmm. True. Just an alternative. But yeah, cover your SaaS.
You know, it'd be awesome. Oh, I'm sorry, let me raise my hand.
No, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, Ben, if you could begin to say, these are the strategies that we find are great to cover. If you identify these are the vulnerabilities that SaaS alerts can, we're talking about not respond rules or fortify, but these are the vulnerabilities. And then these are the methods that you could employ within SaaS alerts to attack those or block those vulnerabilities.
Mm-hmm.
That awareness would educate us and educate me in better understanding what I need to be sensitive and looking to. What you've just done with Showdown, for example, is
Mm-hmm.
expanding my awareness. But bringing this back to cloud security would be awesome. Anna's got her Windows 10 exposed with remote desktop. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness.
Yeah.
And she's part of an organization called NCCSA. Watch that be a security group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh no, it's a Christian School Association. Wow.
I wouldn't have guessed that either.
Wow. All
But
right. Well,
do they know that computer's sitting out there on the
it's
web?
worth a phone call. That's a prospecting tool. There you go.
Exactly.
Can I
I know
speak with
it's
Christina
kind of creepy, and
or Anna? Yeah.
it's like you don't want to well, it's just like the whole, whenever I would drive around, there's this thing called war driving where you drive around and it picks up all the wireless networks and
Yep.
shows you ones that are not secure. And it's like, wouldn't it be a great prospecting tool to be able to go up to someone and be like, you're not securing your wireless, it's out there on the open. But it seems it's also kind of creepy too, because like I
Yeah.
found you on the internet. But yeah, that's like I said, it is a good tool. It is and most companies I don't even think know about it.
Nope. This is pretty amazing stuff. This is actually a real, it has many applications outside of just security.
For the first time, Ben, you scare the hell out of me, and I'm really glad for the education.
That's what I'm here for. Scare the crap out of you, Anthony.
Can't wait to see you on Halloween.
No, Anthony beats me on Halloween costumes every year, so at
That's because you
least that
practice it all year long and he just get tired of it by then. Scaring
exactly.
people with Showdown. There you
No,
go.
no, it is not for the first time. It's like, oh, you're dressed up for Halloween. I'm like, no, this is what I do on the weekend.
Oh,
I
there you go. Well, be careful there.
That's true. That's
Um,
true.
yeah, no, and usually it's motorcycle related. So it's just you're people you don't see walking around the halls at the mall.
the Hell's Angels weekend, is it? All right. See ya.
I have gone to Halloween parties dressed in my biker
Oh,
patches and leather and bandana. I look like a pirate, and that's actually how I dress sometimes, just because that's how you dress. You have to dress for the occasion, right?
There you go.
Uh, Ben,
it's a
thanks for that
totally different
very
way of
interesting.
thinking.
It is. It is. Well, it's and go to a track day and watch people, go down the straights at 180 miles an hour and then hit a curve and drop in and drag a knee. You're dressed a little differently. You look a little different. Just got to dress for the occasion, man. That's all it is. Or as we
Mhm.
saw in the very first one of these, what Ben was referring to was the very first time we did an office hours. It was October 31st last year.
Mhm.
And so I just strapped on in my motorcycle gear that I wear when I go out and fall down in the dirt, which is, it looks very strange. And you don't see people walking down the street unless they're James Cameron dressed like that. But, this is what people do on the weekends. So enough about hobbies. Ben, thank you for letting us, giving us a little insight into one of your hobbies. And some of that scary stuff is so very, very, very public. I am going to, I don't care what it costs, I'm going to buy a subscription and start poking around some of my
Mhm.
websites and some of my friends' websites. And Lord knows I'll probably end up being an MSP by the time I'm done with this.
I mean, you
Um,
have a lot to choose from out where you are. I'm Lynchburg's a small town, so the fact that I had five was pretty impressive. But out where you guys are, that's gonna be massive.
it's ridiculous. I'll go to a friend's apartment complex. I'm in the Bay Area, folks, for anybody who doesn't know, in the heart of Silicon Valley. And we'll go to an apartment complex. A friend of mine, he's like, "Oh yeah, connect to the Wi-Fi," and there's 40 or 50 within range of my phone
What?
because everybody's got one or two, and everybody's got fiber, and everybody's got. A friend of mine, literally in his
That's when you take
house.
the flipper with you.
Exactly. I'm just going to shut all this stuff off. A friend of
Well, no,
mine,
that's when you
nice,
get
nice
all their
guy.
codes. Yes, codes.
Friend of mine, he's got nice house, two kids, wife, you know. He has to have two separate routers because he has almost 400 IP connected devices in a single house. And yeah, exactly. It's like this is the
But you
world
have
we
to put
live in. Like,
Marauder on it.
God, got to do something, man. Yeah. And he's an otherwise intelligent professional. I'm like, really, do you need every light switch and outlet? And yeah, he's got a oven that when he puts things in it, it's got a camera in it so he can watch things cook while he's in the backyard
He must
doing
work
something
for
else.
Apple.
He does not. No, he works for another one of those large tech companies.
So,
Um,
Andy, I'll show you this that you might appreciate it. If you ever get a chance to Google Ponagachi, it's a little device that you make from a Raspberry Pi Zero, and
Uh-huh.
its whole job, it's AI, it's like little AI powered, and its whole job is to search for wireless networks and do what's called a deauth attack, which
Yep.
forces the
Fi-
client to remove it
Get the
and
four-part
reconnect.
handshake.
Yeah, and it records the handshake and you connect it to your computer and you're able to pull that in there. But it sits there and it's something you build yourself and he gets happy or sad based on how many Wi-Fi networks he can attack.
Wow. I've
But
not seen. I
it's
saw that yesterday, first time Raspberry Pi 5 out, and how they're now starting to build SANs with it.
mhm.
So
Oh yeah.
that's a new piece.
There's
and
some
you're
people
not
that have
you're
built
you're not
super good ones.
scaring me any less, brother. You're not
There you
scaring me
go.
any less.
So he's happy now because he's actually
Yeah.
attacking what he's attacking some Wi-Fi.
What blew me away was what one could do with a flipper, and most people
Oh.
have very old Wi-Fi access points. Those are the last things they change,
Hmm.
and that means they were totally open.
Well, you can what is it? You can attack a Tesla with a flipper. At
Amen.
Yep.
least open the
Yeah.
gas cap.
Well, actually, just touching it, you open the gas cap.
Hmm.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Oh, it's funny.
Um, Thank you, by the
Um,
way, Ben, for giving us an awareness. I really
absolutely.
think setting up attack strategies or defense strategies for attacks, because you seem to think about where the vulnerabilities are and how we could begin to use those, not only to protect ourselves, but to help protect our clients or prospective clients.
Yep, that's my job. Look out for the bad stuff.
Does anybody have any other questions that might relate to that SaaS alerts thing that we occasionally talk about here? To circle it back around. Well, then, again, I think I'm going to have trouble sleeping tonight. Thank you for that, Benjamin.
Hmm,
Um, if anybody has any technical questions, please bring them up when we circle back around in a couple of weeks. But if nobody else has anything today, I'll give you about a half an hour of your day back.
enjoy your lunch.
Thanks for
Thanks,
your service,
everyone.
guys.
Thanks, time.
Thanks,
Talk to you later,
guys.
guys.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.